Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're going to part 2 of our running back ranks. We did part 1 on the other day. Go check that out on all the places you can find us, but go to youtube.com/fantasyfootballprophet. You can see our videos there. We have that episode up as well, so make sure you guys go check that out. So we're going to jump into running back ranks real quick, but I mean, first off, people are just trying to like haunt me. They're being mean, Jeff, on Instagram. In one of our relegation leagues, Clark just randomly decided to post a video of Aaron Rodgers throwing a Hail Mary against the Lions a couple years ago and saying, "This is for Craig and Jeff."
Oh, you dick.
I mean, come on. That's just mean. That's a terrible play to remember. I mean, show the phantom face mask before that. Oh, I mean, you knew as a Lions fan, once that happened, that was going to be a Hail Mary. Probably going to complete it.
Yep.
I mean, Clark, come on, man.
That's
Stuff
pretty,
like that. I mean, at least it didn't show the trouble with the snap play from Michigan State.
Well, that only affects one of us. That's one of the greatest sporting moments of my life.
I just happened to see that the other day on Facebook randomly. Why that's showing up in 2020? In 2020 is bad enough. Why do I need to see?
No, I would love it. I would not love it, but it'd be interesting to become a meme because of that game, right? You have that kid holding his head.
Yep.
It would be very interesting.
Well, that's what it was. It was that picture and said, "Describe what just happened." Yeah. That was rough. I don't even know how many years. What is this? I don't even know how many years later. 4 years later at this point? It's still rough, man. This is a Michigan fan. I'm sure you still think it's a great memory.
I do.
So.
Amazing.
About the worst moment. I sat there in silence for a long time.
I was in Ann Arbor, actually, when that went down.
Oh, how'd that go?
Well, to their credit, they were very nice about it because we lost our minds. We were running around the bar like a bunch of idiots, and
you hooligans.
Yeah, they were cool about it. I mean, they were hurting, but we've been there. Who hasn't been there, right?
I don't know how many people have actually been there. To be honest with you, that's a pretty rough moment there. It doesn't really happen that often. I mean, all you got to do is just get the ball, just punt the ball away, and the game ends.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that has to be one of the is there a worse loss in a rivalry game? I'm not sure if there is. I mean, you would have to go back to one of the other crazy endings, right? It would be like the band on the field, or let's say Flacco,
It's rough, man.
Yeah,
it's rough. Yeah, it's rough. That's all I gotta say. All right.
Anyway,
let's go to running back rankings in 2020. Not talk about 2016 college football. So we're gonna go 16 through 30 here. We'll jump off. We'll start the list right away. Le'Veon Bell, 16. He was actually 13th for you. He's 19th for me, so a little further down. But we are still, both of us are ahead, I believe, on consensus for him. So consensus-wise, he's 20th, and ADP, he's 19th. So I'm right on target with ADP. You're just a bigger fan of him right now. And, I mean, yeah, if Bell jumps back to being Le'Veon Bell, you're in good shape. Which he could.
Yeah, I don't see any reason not to either. And the thing I love about Le'Veon Bell, and the reason I'm going to get him in so many different leagues, is because, first of all, the amount of carries was there, right? He had 245 rushes last year. You're going to get Darnold back. I've seen him improve. I'm not bolstering Darnold to say, hey, draft him. But I think he will be better than last year. I think he will improve. And I think that helps Le'Veon a ton. I think that's going to be symbiotic. They need each other. He throws a lot to Bell. Bell catches a lot. And pretty much if he improves at all, I mean, he was already, a borderline running back 2 last year. I think he finished as 21st. 245 rushes, and he didn't quite hit 800 yards. He was yards per average 3.2. He only ran in 3 touchdowns. All these numbers can improve drastically, and it wouldn't be that crazy. And on top of that, they need him. So if you're telling me he can have as bad of a production last year and be running back 20, so serviceable, you can definitely use him in your lineup. And more than likely, he is going to improve on that. I mean, you're looking at a guy that, if he has a good year, not even a great year, a good year, he will be in a position where he could end up in the top 10, possibly if he stays healthy. And I really do believe in the pieces kind of coming together. And I think Le'Veon is just the clear-cut reason why all of that would happen.
I don't think he's going to have that much competition. I know Gore's there, but I mean.
No, I was going to say that, not that.
All right, let's go to 17. Jump over 17. Chris Carson is 17. He was 17 for you, 16 for me. They did sign Carlos Hyde. Rashad Penny looks like he's going to start the year on the PUP list. He had a pretty bad ACL tear, and that happened later in the year. He's not going to probably be relevant this year. I like Penny, but that's hard. He's not going to be relevant. It's really going to be probably Chris Carson's backfield. And it's not the most exciting pick in the world, but I think it's a very solid pick. And again, he gets overlooked, and he gets overlooked every year because it seems to me like they always wanted to replace him. They wanted Penny, they wanted they're not like they want Hyde to replace him. They just need some depth. I mean, mainly because of Penny not being there. But I mean, Carson's just very solid. He's been very solid for 2 years. Last year, 1,200 yards. Year before, 1,100 yards, 20 catches, and then 37 last year. Touchdowns, 9 and 7. He's a solid player. I don't think he's a great player. I don't think he's that far above average as a player. I think he's above average, but he's not out. I tell you, at running back, when we get to some of these guys we're going to get to towards the end of today's list, some of them can be replaced, no problem. And it starts to happen at running back, and some guys can jump into that spot. And Carson, I think, is one of those guys, but he has the spot right now. So because of that, I think it's a solid RB2, but I don't love it. There's other guys I want more.
And I fall into this camp as well, where I kind of downgrade him and I don't have a really good reason for it. I don't know why.
He's just not as elite of a talent you feel like as some of these other players around him.
But he is in Seattle, even when Penny was there. Penny was young. You don't really know, but it was definitely his backfield still. They do run a lot. The last year, he had 278 carries, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns. You throw in 37 receptions on top of that. I mean, I try to check myself on this a little bit because I do feel like I always downgrade Chris Carson, but I don't know why. He's going to have a good year. I know he will.
If he gets the
and when he comes to me, I'm like...
It's his fumbles worry me because I always feel like he's going to get replaced if he keeps fumbling the ball, but he hasn't yet.
I was going to say he hasn't. And also, I mean, was that last year that he had those problems? Oh, yeah, it was last year. He had 7 of them.
Yeah, he fumbles the ball. That's my worry with him. That's where I thought Penny was going to overtake that at some point. And Penny was playing. He was looking good, and then, injury. And Hyde's not that great, so he has nothing to worry about there.
No, he's still capable of spelling it. And they're going to run a lot, right? And that's the whole thing. 275, the year before that, 247. He has similar numbers.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see. But I don't know. Chris Carson, he's always better than I think he's going to be.
Yep.
But that's why he shows up here.
All right. 18 is going to be Leonard Fournette. He was 20 for you, 17 for me. So Fournette's interesting because he was a highly drafted player who we believe is very talented.
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
His career yards per carry is 4. I don't try to look into that much because they just run him into the line. He had 4 points. Last year was his first year over 4 yards per carry. He had 1,152 yards, only 3 touchdowns. Didn't get a receiving touchdown, but he did catch 76 balls last year, which is kind of surprising.
First of all, that's great news. And we talked about this. And the other thing is he finally was able to play almost a full season. Like coming out of college, and it's crazy because he looks like he's damn near 80, but he's only going to be 25. He's still a very young back. And coming out of LSU, he had ankle injuries, like leg injuries and things of that nature because he ran so hard. The first year he played 13 games, then he only played 8. And last year he got, 15 games worth, and he rushed the ball 265 times, and he caught, what was it? I'm already lost my place on it, but 70, whatever it was. 76.
76, yeah.
So they're giving him a ton of work, and they should because he is the best weapon they have on that offense. DJ Chark finally trying to establish, the wide receiver game. But this guy is a freak athlete. He really is, and if they can keep him healthy, he will do great things. The other thing that does worry me about him, and is completely off the field, was the things he kind of he always throws out little digs almost, it feels like either he knows what he's doing and he's just kind of, hitting a nerve with maybe he's not happy there, or he has no idea and he keeps saying stuff that's going to get him in trouble with the front office.
Something about the whole situation doesn't feel great, and I think that's the only worry with it. But this is a player that this could be a steal at this point. It really could end up being that. I just don't have a lot of confidence in it, and that's why he's where he is. It's just the confidence isn't there. I don't have it. And I don't know how good this offense is going to be. So that's another worry. I don't know if they're going to be good. And it's hard to put players on bad offenses that are just going to run the ball right into the line.
Yeah, especially when you're that physical of a back and you're only able to get into the end zone 3 times, period. It definitely throws a red flag as far as what the offense is doing. Yeah. And what has necessarily changed about that from last year?
Not much.
No.
All right, number 19. That's where we find Jonathan Taylor, the rookie. He is 21 for you, 18 for me. If there was no Marlon Mack there, this is a different story because Taylor's an extremely talented player, and he would be way up the board. But Mack is there, and Mack, obviously, they believe Taylor is going to be better than Mack, right? You don't go draft Taylor probably if you're, if Mack's your guy completely. But Mack's also not a bad running back. There's no reason to not use Mack. And because of that, Mack's going to play. That's why Taylor is stuck at this point for me. I just can't see the scenario where Mack doesn't play and doesn't, have a. That's how NFL teams work these days. You can have 2 running backs. Not everybody does, but it works with a couple running backs. And I wish we just knew for sure Taylor was going to be this sure thing and be the guy. Because man, this is some value now though. You can get if he became just the guy, but can't rank it that way right now.
No, I'm not ready to rank it that way quite yet. He does have a lot of wear and tear on the tires as far as how many carries he was getting in college. It shouldn't affect him the first couple of years.
He should be good to go, but
he should be fine.
I mean, Marlon Mack ran the ball 247 times last year for 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. That's just not going to completely go away.
No. And well, I like this too because it does feel like they're making the right moves. If you're an Indianapolis fan, I would be like, yes, what we have to do is we have to take advantage of that awesome line we have. And now you go and get Rivers, who is a veteran quarterback, but in my mind, I think he is regressing a little bit, but he can still make smart decisions if, it's not in his hands to throw 1,000,000 touchdowns. So you can run the ball a lot. What do? You go out and get another very talented running back that you can pair with Marlon Mack, who is very, is a good running back. And now you can just run all day and take the life out of these teams. And then you finally give, a reason for Rivers to, pretend to hand it off, throw it down the field, and do what he does so well. And on top of that, you don't have a whole lot of things to go over because he's a rookie, and I don't always go to combine stats, but with the production he had in Wisconsin being so high, I think it is something to say, okay, he's a big back. Like, is he really NFL ready? Or was he just overly, physical? Could he just run over people? Mm-hmm. No, he's also fast. I mean, the guy was 219 pounds, right? He's a big guy, 71 inches tall, whatever that is. I wish I would have been looking at a different, but he's almost 6 feet tall. And
he's what was the inches?
71.
Okay, I guess 5'11".
Yeah, right. Almost 6 feet tall. And his 40-yard dash was 4.39. Yeah. So he is fast too. I mean, he is outrunning a lot of these other running backs. So not only can you be physical and run over people, but you have straightaway speed, and he has much more agility than a larger back of that nature should have.
Let's go number 20. This is where we have this is our biggest difference in a player in the 15 through 30, but it's not because I don't like him. Devin Singletary. So you have him all the way up at 16, and I still have him down at 24. I haven't jumped him as much. And I do like Devin Singletary. We've talked about Devin Singletary a lot. He is consensus ranks he's 25th. The ADP, he's going 22nd, so I'm actually slightly lower than him on ADP, which is surprising to me. I like Devin Singletary, but you just love Devin Singletary a lot more. But I mean, I picked him up in a lot of drafts because I've been able to get him as my running back 2 sometimes when I'm waiting. I've done that in a couple of drafts. I waited, and he was still there. So I like Singletary.
I think I would wait on him a little bit longer because I know I can.
Yep.
But I mean, looking at the people behind him, and once again, I'll be completely forthright when it comes to Chris Carson. I always downgrade him a little bit, but he shows up after him. Allaire shows up after him just because I was waiting to find out kind of how that shook out. And then people like Leonard Fournette, which, Jonathan Taylor. So Mark Ingram, people that also have another back there. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that Zach Moss is a tandem back with him. I think he is there in order to make sure that you have another back, right? You'll take 20% of the snaps, 25, whatever, maybe 30. But he can do it all. We've talked about him kind of ad nauseum, but I think he's a very good back, and I love him in close spaces. I think that he is incredibly talented when it comes to finding the hole, hitting it, and getting a lot more yardage than you should out of it. And Josh Allen is not at a place where he's going to be able to win games throwing. He has to run himself. So I think they're going to use him a lot. I think people are overlooking him quite a bit. And even at 16, I think that is still pretty good value.
Yep. All right, number 21 for us is going to be Mark Ingram. He's your 19th. He's my 22nd. And I start to think sometimes maybe we're underrating Mark Ingram now. I was saying he's going to be the fall-off guy, but there's no guarantee in that. And he only had 200 carries last year. That's all he had. He turned that into 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. He caught 5 touchdowns with only 29 catches or 26 catches. The workload might not even go down that much because his workload wasn't crazy. It might go down slightly, but I think J.K. Dobbins is going to take obviously more away from Gus Edwards. They're just going to run the ball, though, a lot. That's what this team wants to do, and that's what they're going to do. So maybe Mark Ingram starts to become more of a value because of that. It's going to depend, though. We'll wait and see. I don't know how this is all going to play out, but I do like when he's not too crazy in the ranks. Like he's 23rd consensus. He's going 21 in ADP. The value's not bad anymore. It really isn't. And if you can get Ingram, if you can go pair that with Dobbins a couple rounds later, I feel pretty solid about that. And I think we could have been underrating Ingram a little bit, just anticipating that downfall before it actually happens.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder that myself. And I get it if you're going to say that the touchdowns could decline and that would actually affect him. It would, right? I mean, he ran in 10, he caught 5. He had 15 touchdowns total. And I do think that J.K. Dobbins will be a stud.
Yep.
I don't know if he'll be this year, probably not. But the thing I do know, and when I'm looking at this, first of all, Ravens run it almost more than anyone. I don't know if 200 attempts is out of the question. And on top of that, Gus Edwards, he was the second running back with the third amount of rushes on the team because of Lamar. He had 133.
So a lot of those go to Dobbins right there.
Right. So what does that do for Ingram? And then you go to Justice Hill. He had 58.
Mm-hmm.
There is a world where everyone is overlooking Mark Ingram. I have not put him up my ranks yet. I'm still trying to figure it out in my head of which way I think this is going to go. But if we still believe in Lamar and we still believe in this offense's ability to run the ball, then I think we are downgrading Mark Ingram a little too much.
We might be. Yeah. So I think the value on him is pretty decent. All right, 22. It's Melvin Gordon. He was your 22nd player, my 21st. So with Gordon, it's just kind of the unknown. He's going to Denver. Philip Lindsay is there. Philip Lindsay will play. That's not going to go away. And Gordon really wasn't good last year. I mean, he wasn't. He held out, and then he just never came around. He had 612 yards in those 12 games, 3.8 yards per carry. And he's been a good back, I would say, but he really hasn't. I mean, I think his touchdowns have skewed us in fantasy where we've really think he's even better than he is. Because remember, year 1, he didn't get any touchdowns. That was the big thing. And then year 2, he gets 10 or 12 total. And then he had another 12. Then he had 14. So he was getting 12, and 14. He was really boosting his numbers off touchdowns. He's only had 1,000-yard season. He's only had one season that he was above 3.9 yards per carry. So those are just worries I have. And it doesn't always work when players change teams. It worked for Mark Ingram, but it didn't work for obviously Le'Veon Bell. It doesn't always work. I would say probably more often than not, free agents, it just doesn't work in the NFL as much. And I don't know, but again, saying all that, I think this is a good spot to get Melvin Gordon, though, because you can get him as maybe your third, and maybe he does become the guy, and you're in a pretty good shape. I just don't have all the confidence that that's going to happen right now. And it's going to be kind of a split thing, probably just like it was last year with Lindsey and Freeman. Why would they do any different? Probably Lindsey and Gordon. And Freeman's still on the team, right? He might even get a couple carries. He's not any good, though. But there, so Gordon, 22. Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah, well said.
All right, 23, James Conner. 25 for you and 20 for me. So James Conner's interesting.
Okay, he's another one that once again, I'm kind of waiting to find out what happens to Pittsburgh a little bit more. He's another one that I believe that I'm undervaluing a little bit right now.
I hear a lot of James Conner, like, slight hype lately. It's weird. It's been a weird thing.
I think when he's ranked this low, I think it's easy to get like really excited about a guy. When he plays, he was doing very well, but I don't know if this offense will ever be quite the same as that initial push than when they had, right? And on top of that, when he played last year, they had to run the ball. when you have Big Ben back, if he's healthy, there's a lot of what ifs in this offense. I mean, even why I backed off on Juju a bit, which I think is a very talented player. James Conner, and I'll let you kind of go into it, but I mean, do I like him as a football player? Yes. Do I like him as a person? Probably even more. But is he anything special? I'm not sold still.
I don't think he's special. But I don't think he's special at all. Here's, though, I guess with the Steelers is I think Tomlin likes to just have a guy, right? So remember the days, I mean, obviously Le'Veon Bell was Le'Veon Bell. He was a special player, so it's hard to really, I guess, say that, of course they're going to use Le'Veon Bell. But remember how they had D'Angelo Williams there? And remember, D'Angelo Williams actually got a shot, and he was great, actually. And then as soon as Bell came back, Williams just went back to nothing. And he could play. That wasn't like that 2015, he had 907 yards and 11 touchdowns in only 200 carries. He was good. But as soon as Bell's there again, he didn't play at all. And if that just seems to be like the Tomlin way of doing things before Le'Veon Bell, because, we said that, sure, Le'Veon Bell's going to get all the carries in the world. But the year before Le'Veon Bell, you had, let's see here, or Rashad Mendenhall was right before that. Remember Mendenhall? Yep. He was getting all the carries there too. He had 242, 324, and 228. He got a lot of carries in those 3 seasons with Tomlin. And then the years before, those 2 years before Mendenhall, it was Willie Parker. And Willie Parker had...
Was that Tomlin back then too?
Yes, it was. Wow. So in his final 2 seasons, Tomlin's first 2 seasons was Parker. He had 321 and 210, it looks like here. 321
carries?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
321 carries in Tomlin's first season. So for the most part, Tomlin's had a guy, right? And it's just been that guy. And it seems to be kind of what happens, right? And I think if he has a healthy James Conner, he's just going to want a guy again. And that's the one back. And I can see that start. I could see that happening. I can see a scenario where it is just James Conner and he is the one getting all the work. And maybe we underrate him then because of that. Maybe we do. Maybe we are underrating him because of that fact that if he is just a true workhorse. And if he is, Tomlin's history shows that he's going to have a workhorse.
If he is going to be a true workhorse, where would he fall on your list then? Or is 20 pretty good for you?
I guess I would probably have to put him ahead of for now Bell, just because Bell, I had a Taylor for sure. Probably had a Cart. He probably is ahead of some of these guys.
He'd probably jump all the way to
he's like 16, 17 range. He just probably would be if I knew more about his health. This isn't the play. I think you could put a lot of players in that situation and be good. I don't love the player that much, but I think the situation can be good, and he's good enough. He'll be good enough.
Yeah, and I think those are the two that I'm as I stare at. I don't feel bad. Like we'll get to like Cam Akers and stuff. Yeah. I don't feel bad for undervaluing them, but those two guys, James Conner, and then Ingram, both of those guys. As I'm looking, I'm like, man, when it becomes apparent what is going on, I will shift it up. But right now, they worry me a little bit.
All right, number 24, David Johnson. We both had him 23. So David Johnson, I guess I've said it a few times. My worry is that he's done. And he started last year actually pretty decent. He had a pretty good start to last year. Then he got injured. He never could come back. For some reason, I remember it was one play in my mind. I remember watching the game, and he was so slow. He was just so slow. It was unreal. And I'm like, I saw that play. I'm like, wow, David Johnson is just done. And the Cardinals thought that too. And that's when Drake just took over. And I'm not positive he's not done, but he's going to get all the chances in the world. Again, this is another situation where he should be just the guy there, right? Duke Johnson's the only one probably behind him. So it should be David Johnson's show. If he can play, we're underrating him. If he can play, I'm just not sure he can play.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about this one. He is going to be the guy there.
He hasn't been good since like 2016, I feel like.
No. And I mean, the thing too is, Carlos Hyde was very playable.
He was. And
every back that has been there has been useful.
I would say David Johnson should be as good as Carlos Hyde was last year, right?
I would think.
Yeah. So maybe we are slightly, again, could be undervalued.
Could be undervaluing him. I do have to say, though, the games I saw of him as well, I thought the same thing. And maybe he was really hurt, but he did not look good.
No, I agree. But, hey, this isn't a bad spot to risk it. So he'll be your third.
Yeah, and he's a true starter, too, which is good.
All right, 25th for us is Raheem Mostert. He was your 24th, my 26th. Looks like the little contract stuff got cleared up. He's good to go, but that doesn't clear up the fact that I think the Niners are going to use other running backs. Tevin Coleman's not going away. I can see Jerick McKinnon playing. You never know, Jeff Wilson might show up. So I'm just not sold on it because I just don't see the Niners just having one guy. That's where I'm at with him. I just can't see them having just one true guy. He should be the lead guy. I don't see them having one true guy.
Yeah, and that's why I have him here. I think he will be the lead, quote unquote.
Yeah, but
I think they'll use 3 running backs. I think they will figure it out in the way to do it. I think he will have some really productive games.
He will. He'll have some big games, and but he'll jump up ranks.
I think he might be up and down, which is obviously consistency should be put into this list as well, and I think that's why he gets hurt by it.
All right, 26th for us is Darius Geis, my guy, Darius Geis. 27th for you. He does come in at 25 for me. So I'm not going too crazy with my actual rank of Darius Geis because that's still, I think, though, higher than we are, I believe, higher on him than some, but not too crazy anymore. So his consensus rank is 30 now. So he's slightly gone up. And his ADP actually has risen a bit to 27 now. So he's not getting, he was, for a while there, he was like 32, 33 in that range. He's kind of gone up a little bit. I just can't get him ahead of so the guys that he's directly behind on my list that I can't get him ahead of right now would be, so he's one spot behind Devin Singletary. Can't do that. Then there's David Johnson. I'm not ready to do that because David Johnson does have all the workload. Then it's Mark Ingram. It's Melvin Gordon. It's James Conner. It's Le'Veon Bell. I'm just not, I can't have him ahead of those guys as much as I like him. I can't just throw him there. So that's why Geis comes in 25 for me, but 26 overall for us. I think it's a good value pick though. All right, here we go. 2 rookies. 27, 28, Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift. You had Akers 26, I had him 28th. Swift was 29th for both of us. So Akers should have the most opportunity. He should have, I think Swift is a better back. I think Akers is going to have a little more opportunity right away.
I agree. I think that, and let me see how to think about this quick, but yeah, I think Cam Akers, what I saw from Henderson, they were kind of like, is he going to be the guy? Is he going to step in? Is he going to take it away from Gurley? He didn't really do anything. So I have to believe that Cam Akers is going to be the guy there. I think DeAndre Swift, even though I do think he's a better back, I think that, and I'm blanking on his name. Help me out.
Malcolm Brown?
No.
Detroit. Oh, Detroit. Kerryon Johnson.
Kerryon Johnson.
Akers,
yeah. Nope. I think that Kerryon Johnson, even though I think he's established himself as being a good back, I think it's more about the health issue that they'll be 50-50, where I think Cam Akers could actually be the lead back.
You can't trust Kerryon to be the guy, and that's why they had to go get somebody else. Swift is great, but Kerryon's not going to go away. And if Patricia keeps trying to do things the Patriots way, you change back. You don't use the same back all the time. It just doesn't happen. So I think Swift is better. I just can't.
If DeAndre Swift went to a different team, I would be much more on his bandwagon. I think he went to a place where you're kind of like, is he even fun to watch? But,
And with Akers, I mean, Gurley couldn't run behind that line last year. So it's not sure that it's going to be there.
Yeah, he pretty much comes at the end of, I think there's 2 other guys, at least on my list, that will be the starting running backs, if you will, like Darius Geis, but he has injury concerns or whatever. And then I have Matt Breida, who I think will be the number 1 in Miami. So Cam Akers comes at the very end of the starting running backs.
Jordan Howard's, I think, ranked ahead of Breida. So
I think, I don't. Yeah. Once again, that is my own personal opinion on Breida. But
all right. So let's go. He'll be 31 for us. He won't make the top 30.
Okay.
So let's go 29. David Montgomery. He's 32 for you, 27 for me. We are way low on David Montgomery. Consensus-wise, his rank is 24th, and ADP he's 25th.
Yeah, we're not. That far off.
We're not terribly far off. I just don't think he's any good. I know he's going to get opportunity, but I don't think he's that great.
I don't know if I've seen everything from him yet. I was harsh on him, but that's because people came out with so much love last year.
That was part of it. We knew that wasn't quite real.
And Chicago, are they is that situation getting better for him? I don't really know that.
I just don't feel great about making him my pick on any team. I don't love it. So but I'm not going to say I will never draft him because there's situations definitely where I would draft him. It would happen.
Sure.
And I just don't go out of my way to make that happen.
Yeah, I'll give him this. He did show in spurts that he has the the physical traits in order to make some of these, NFL runs.
He can break tackles. That's the thing he can do. I mean,
so if they really decide to stick with him, that would be the thing. If they really decide to stick with him, kind of like David Johnson or something, then he's going to be definitely worth it, and he would probably jump up a little bit on this list for sure. But you do have, Cohen, and I don't know.
Cohen's obviously a different thing.
It's a different thing, and so that they're going to use him though, because you can't. So it's not a 1A 1B thing.
Montgomery, he really doesn't have competition for like just the true, regular, normal NFL running back. Cohen's a different thing. There is no real other competition.
No.
So that's why maybe we are underrating him because of the opportunity. That's
could be.
Possible.
I also know that other people like him more, and
I just will never get him.
You throw, exactly. I'm never going to end up with him. I don't think about him all that much.
And then to round out our top 30 is Kareem Hunt, 30th for me, 31st for you. We talked about him on last episode a little bit because of Chubb. Nick Chubb's a better running back, but Kareem Hunt's going to get an opportunity. And he does, this is the thing where if something were to happen to Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt can jump up and he becomes one of the best handcuffs you can get. Yeah. So he's going to fall at number 30 for us because after this, the guys aren't really great. I mean, it's all these committees and rookies and different stuff like that. And like you said, Matt Breida was going to be 31 for us, but I'll just say Matt Breida, he, consensus-wise, he is 35th, and he's ADP 37, while Jordan Howard is consensus 32. So
he's a good value for sure.
Yeah,
I think, and for Kareem Hunt as well, because it's been a while since we got to see him play, but his rookie year when he was with Kansas City, and this was with Alex Smith, he rushed 272 times for over 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, caught the ball 53 times for 455 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, he really was something to behold before, he got himself into some trouble, and now he's on Cleveland. But it's really too bad. Anyway, that's why I think he's so good. And even the year after that, he played 11 games, 181 rushes for 824 yards, 7 touchdowns, 378 yards receiving, and 7 touchdowns receiving. He was actually on pace to have a better year than his rookie year before all that went down. So, and the last one I do want to ask you about, because I feel like we talked about the guys that are considered to be the lead back. I think we hit most of them.
Yep.
The one that we did not is Sony Michel. It's a very interesting scenario, right? Because Patriots, they do whatever the heck they want. But do you think that not having Tom Brady there anymore and having Cam Newton would actually free up some more carries if they implement anything near what they did with, and I'm not saying they're going to have the same offense as Lamar Jackson. Cam Newton is not the same player, but I do have to believe that they're going to lean on the run, and when they have, he has been impressive in times.
Yeah, I guess the only worry with Michel is he healthy? I guess that's about it. He's currently on the PUP list. That doesn't matter much.
Is anyone healthy? We don't know right now.
So they did put him on the PUP list because he had foot surgery in May. So I guess that's the only worry is he had foot surgery in May. What is he going to be healthy? And he wasn't great. He only averaged like 3.7 yards a carry last year, I believe. So
the year before that, he was much better.
He was. It's just he
was averaging 4.5.
I guess I just wasn't terribly overly impressed with him, and I just know the way the Patriots work. And maybe Damian Harris gets a shot.
He could.
It's always possible. And Burkhead's still not going anywhere. Yep. And James White's not going anywhere.
My big question is, how does the offense change because of Cam Newton? We don't really know. But he might be another one that would be value.
Well, Cam still has to compete for that starting job. So
I don't know if either one, like you're going to have, I feel like you have to run it either way more.
Yeah, we'll see. But all right. That will do it for running backs. We'll be back next week. We'll do some wide receiver rankings as we keep moving along in our preseason here. It would be nice to have some real preseason news, but there's just none of that right now. It's a weird lead up to the season. None of us seem to know anything this year, but that'll do it for this week. Talk to you guys next time.